You can get softer shadows by putting diffusion right on a light. Here's how.
I didn't want you to get the wrong idea in that last video about lighting, where I showed if you put a diffusion right over the light, the shadow goes really sharp, and if you put it closer, it gets softer. I don't want you to think that you should never put diffusion right over the light. If you put it right over the light bulb, yeah, but that's not what most people do. They put it over a reflector of some kind. So that's what this is about. There are times where you can still get soft shadows putting the diffusion right on a reflector. And a lot of times you have to do that because it's windy out and you don't want to set up all these extra stands and everything. So let's start with the basics. This is just an open light. So obviously look how sharp the shadow is here. This is really, really sharp. You would think if this is off, this is an infinitely large light source. It's not. It's actually only the size of the actual LED, the light bulb, which is only about 2 inches at the most. So this is a 2-inch size light source. You're getting a hard shadow. When we move up to 7 inches, now we're getting a softer shadow. It's still kind of hard, but 7 inches is still softer than 2 inches. The size of the light makes a difference. The bigger the light source, the softer the shadows become. Over the years, you've seen me use these hard plastic 7-inch diffusers that go over a 7-inch reflector. This is probably the easiest, fastest thing to put on. It's the most rugged of the bunch. You don't have to worry about how to attach it to a reflector, but it doesn't really diffuse that much. It helps a little bit. Here we have a bare 7-inch reflector, and now I'm putting diffuser over it. It does diffuse it a little bit, but not much. So what happens if you use a professional diffusion gel? Well, obviously, if you put that right over the reflector, that's what you get. This is the hard plastic, and this is the Rosco 3032 light grid cloth. And this is right over a 7-inch reflector. Now watch what happens when I pull it away from the light. It's getting further away from the light. Look how much softer it's getting. So this is how soft, look at that. Look how soft you can get with diffusion from a 7-inch reflector. And when you put it closer to 7-inch, that's what you get. Now compare that to no diffusion at all. That's with no diffusion, and that's with diffusion, the 3032. All right, so that's a 7-inch reflector. Let's take a 12-inch reflector. Now this is a bigger light source, but it's still kind of hard. So let's take this 3032, put it over here, and now you're starting to notice this is softer than the 7-inch. Look at that. Now it's taking the light level down a bit more because it's spreading the light over a larger surface, but look how much softer the light is on the wall, putting a diffusion right on the 12-inch reflector. And of course, if I move it closer, look at that. The shadow is almost completely blurred out. So this is halfway between the object and the light, and this is right on the 12-inch reflector, nice and soft. And now let's take the 12-inch and replace it with a 14-inch. This is twice the size of the 7-inch. Now look what it does right away. It's breaking the shadow up without, just a hard light is already breaking the shadow up considerably because, again, it's a larger light source. Even though it's hard light, it's larger. And look what it's done to the shadow compared to the original shadow, which is really hard. This is just the original open bulb, and this is with the 14-inch open bulb. Look how much nicer that is. It's breaking it up. If you squint your eyes, you're starting to get pretty soft. Notice this thing up here. Look at this spot right here. Now, if you take a diffusion, let's take the 3032 and put it right on the magnum here. Look at that. Look how much that blurred it out. And if I move it away from the light, look at that. Look how that softens up. That top thing is almost gone, completely gone. And when I put it right on the light, look how much softer it is compared to that. This is with no diffusion. This is with diffusion. That's a 3032 Rosco. I am not using a softbox. I'm just using hard reflectors. I went from 7-inch to 14-inch. Look at the difference. This video is not about holding the diffusion away from the light. This video is about having it right on the reflector. And look how much softer that is compared to the original open bulb or the 7-inch. So you can still get softer shadows by putting diffusion right on a reflector. I didn't want you to get the wrong idea that you can't. You just get much softer light the further away the diffusion is from the light source. But there are times where you just can't do that. And one of the times you can't do that is when you're outside and there's a breeze and it's windy and you can't, or you just don't have the equipment or the weight to carry or the time to set up all these different stands, one to hold the diffusion, one to hold the light, the reflector and all that. Here you just slap the diffusion right on the reflector and you still get a nice soft shadow. Soft enough, at least, to make it look much, much better. Let's look at some faces here. Here's a face with just hard light. Here's a face with an open 7-inch reflector. Here's a face with an open 14-inch magnum reflector. And here's a face with the 3032 diffusion on it. Look how much softer it is. This is with the diffusion put right on the reflector. Now, obviously, softboxes make things look even softer because, well, it's a bigger light source. This is bigger than this. That is one of the physics of light, is The bigger the light source, the softer the shadow, but you also need stronger lights for that. Also, this is where the diffusion is. Notice the diffusion here to here, the distance of the diffusion from the actual light is further away than this. So it's probably another, look at that, it's about 6 inches further away. So the diffusion layer on the front of a softbox is further away from the light than it is from a reflector, even a big one like this. So those are the two things that determine how soft a shadow is how far the diffusion is from the light source and how big the ultimate light source is, meaning the size of the ultimate diffusion, not the light bulb, but the diffusion itself. And another thing a softbox has going for it is the light has nowhere to go but out one side. If you have a diffusion separated from the light, it's just floating in the air, the light can go in all different directions, bounce back from the diffuser, go up into the walls and everything. Here, the light has nowhere to go but out the front of the diffusion. This is the only direction it can go, is out this way. It can't come out anywhere here. So this is a sealed box with only one side where the light can come out. So this has a lot going for it. Now the downside of softboxes is the inside, even though it's shiny, it's not a smooth surface. These things have perfectly tuned surfaces. They're perfectly smooth in all directions. The light is perfectly even coming out of here, and there's no dark spots or light spots. This thing, it's got light spots and dark spots because it's a crinkly material. You're not getting even light out the whole thing. So a softbox is less efficient at producing perfectly even light than a reflector. A reflector has a lot more going for it for that. So there are pluses and minuses. I personally like the reflectors a lot more because they're rugged. When you're out in softboxes catch the wind like crazy outdoors. You're out, if there's even a slight breeze, this will try to knock your light stand over. Hard things like this are very resistant to wind and any breeze in the air. And plus, the surface is a lot more even and it concentrates the light more efficiently. And as reflectors go, the 14-inch Magnum 70-degree reflector is my favorite for as far as giving you the softest light and being rugged and portable, and it doesn't weigh much. It's aluminum. So for portrait lighting, this is a really good one. And if you can put diffusion right over the top of it like this, and look at that, you get a nice soft shadow. That's really nice. And it's even softer, take it further away. But I just wanted to show you, don't feel bad, you can use diffusion material right on the front of a reflector. So obviously this reflector is going to give you a lot softer shadow than this reflector, which is the standard 7-inch. So there you go. I just wanted you to see that you can get soft shadows putting diffusion right on a reflector. I'm just trying to make you aware of all the different options that lighting people have. Thought I'd share that. Okay, see you in the next video. Until then, bye.